Aho, brothers of the axe. It's Joe, back on the bench tonight, and I wanted to do just a quick video about building a basic beginner axe junkie, axe restoration, axe guy toolkit. So basically, this is not for a lot of the more advanced guys out there. This is more so geared towards the beginners. But if you want to stick around, please do. I urge you to. So this is for the guy that just found an axe head at a garage, estate sale. Maybe cleaning out grandpa's house or that kind of thing, and you don't know where to start. So you've got your axe head. You've got maybe a store-bought hardware store handle, and you're just not sure what you need and where to go. So that's for you. This video is for you. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that you have some sort of workbench, some kind of work area, something like that. But if not, stage one is get yourself a workbench and a work area, or even just a sturdy table. So I'm going to go ahead and move these heads out of the way here. And I think I have everything kind of laid out in different groupings. And I think first things first, you're going to get a rusty axe head. And what you're going to want to do initially is get it cleaned off. So the easiest way to do that, or I guess I should say the most cost-effective way to do that, is going to be a wire brush like this, just a basic welder's, wire brush, and some solvent. I like PB Blaster. You probably have WD-40 lying around too. That'll work just fine. So that's going to be the most cost-effective way. Just something abrasive like this. I don't suggest using the vinegar method. I'm assuming if you're at this video now, you're in the throes of doing some research. You may come across a lot of guys that say soak the axe head in vinegar. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think it kind of ruins the patina. It certainly will knock the rust off. I won't argue that it won't, but it gives it a very sort of dull gray look. It, in my opinion, ruins the patina. Some guys say it can hurt, the axe head. I don't know if I'd go that far. You'd have to leave it in the vinegar for quite a while, I think, before it to ruin the axe head. But I just don't like it because it ruins the patina. Do whatever you want. I think this would be the most cost effective. Moving up from that, I'm assuming that a lot of guys already have a drill. You already have a drill if you're a homeowner or renter or whatever it is. I'm assuming that most dudes will have some kind of a drill. They sell these shanked wire wheels that will chuck up right in a drill. So you don't have to go out and buy an angle grinder. You don't have to go out and buy a bench grinder. These work really well. They take off rust and everything like that pretty expediently. And this is my preferred rust removal method, is some sort of wire abrasive. Not particularly a wire wheel on a drill, but this will work. It certainly got me by 10, 12 years ago when I got into the hobby, before I invested in an angle grinder. Your next best would be something like this. And this is just a basic, Harbor Freight Bauer brand 7 or 8 amp angle grinder. And this is my preferred rust removal tool, is a braided wire cut brush. And they've just worked really well for me. I've used the wire wheels before, and they work good too. Just something about the cut brush. It's really easy to get in the nooks and crannies. Throw a little bit of an angle on it, or you can attack it more flat, and it works really well. And something like one of these Bowers at home, or not Home Depot, Harbor Freight, you can get one of these things for under $25. And this is 2025. I'm filming this video in April of 2025. I think I actually caught this on a sale for 19 bucks. Replaced a DeWalt that I had. And this is a very good grinder, I have to say. I was coming from a DeWalt that crapped out, and replaced it with this, and I couldn't be happier. For $21 or something like that out the door. You could certainly spend more. For something like this, just cleaning rust off old tools, I don't necessarily think it's necessary. So $21, you're good to go. If you have to buy a drill, I would not go this route. I would just buy the angle grinder over the drill. Obviously, the drill is going to have a little bit more versatility. You can do other stuff outside of axe work with it, but you're going to spend a lot more money on even something like a cheaper rigid like this one than you would ever with this angle grinder. So that's rust removal. The next thing you're going to want to do is put an edge on it. And a lot of guys use belt sanders and things like that, and I certainly have a belt sander at this point, but it's not necessary. The reality is you can get some guys can get a shaving sharp edge with just a file. I'm not quite there yet, but you want to look into a file. And I've got a couple examples here. One of them is newer and a couple are vintage. But basically the long and short of it is what you're looking for is a 10 or a 12-inch mill bastard file. And this is a single cut. You could see that there's just a single cut here. And this is by Grobet or Grobet, something like that. But I got this off of Amazon, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and I've used it heavily. And it still has a lot of bite to it. I'm still taking off material on these really hard steel old axes without a problem. And the one thing you really want, because when a file ships out, it'll ship with just the tang. You really want to invest in a handle for it, or make a handle. You can certainly make a handle, but get a nice handle for it. Some guys will drill a hole in a golf ball and use that. I don't really like that method, but just a good old handle. So, and then you've got yourself the double cut files, and they take off a lot more material a lot quicker. I prefer the single cut, but if you keep your eyes open at estate sales and yard sales and flea markets and things like that, you can pick up files for 50 cents, 25 cents. Some people even give it to you for free. And I have a whole drawer full of nice old vintage files. I don't think I've ever paid more than $1 for one of them. A lot of times guys will be, getting rid of old tools, and you could pick up a gross of these old files. And half the reason why I keep on buying them is because I keep on thinking I'm going to start getting into knives and making knives out of these old files. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to be happening. So you're going to use your files to ground an edge on your axe head. And then from there, you're going to have to refine it and get it a little sharper. And for that, you're going to want to use some kind of a stone or puck. So on the cheaper end, you can go with something like this. And this is just a basic double-sided stone that I think was either purchased from a hardware store or Harbor Freight, something like that. It's just a dual grit, cheap, wet stone. And I don't think this was more than $5 or $6. And it's got I want to say maybe a 400 or a 600 grit fine side, and then a 200. So you're not going to grind an edge in with one of these, but you can certainly hone it to shaving sharp with one of these. This is going to be a lot of guys' preferred stone here. This is a Lansky puck. And these are, I don't know what these are going for in 2025. I think I paid maybe 12 or 15 bucks or something like that for this. And this is, again, dual grit. It's like 1 or 200 grit on one side and 400 on the other. And the nice thing about these is they're very easy to just hold in your hand like that and hone the edge. So I like these. Another inexpensive option is something like these diamond plates. And this is 1,000 grit. Usually they come in a set. I bought these very inexpensively off Amazon for maybe 15 or 20 bucks. And it came with a 200, a 400, a 1,000, and maybe a 1,600 or something like that. And really all this is just a piece of metal with, I'm assuming these are maybe synthetic diamond or something, just impregnated metal. But they work really well. They, you could hear that. I'm sure you could hear that. They're very aggressive, very abrasive. Even the 1,000 grit really cuts nicely. And again, very expensive. So you've got something to sharpen your axe head with. And well, while you're sharpening it, you need to sort of hold your axe head down. So I'm assuming if you're a beginner, you may not have a vise. Um, Obviously, the goal is to get yourself a really nice bench vise, preferably something 3.5 to 5 inch jaws. Parker, Reed, um, Prentice, Erie, Wilton, all great brands. Littleston, um, trying to think of some other ones, but you can catch those on Marketplace if you're looking for very inexpensive. Sometimes you can even get them for free. I was just chatting with a buddy today. A lot of times people are selling or even giving away workbenches with vices already mounted. So keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open on Marketplace. If you're in the Bucks County, Pennsylvania area, don't do that though. Stay off Marketplace. But you could look into something like this, one of these little vices here that just kind of clamp onto, a table or something like that. And they don't have a humongous throat or anything, but generally speaking, you can get a handle in there to rasp a handle down, that kind of thing. And this is a good option, if you don't really have a designated workbench. But this is more so just a placeholder for a vise. So get yourself a good vise if you can. If you can't, in lieu of that, get yourself some good clamps. And again, you can spend as much money or as little money really as you want to with clamps. You can check yard sales. You can check Marketplace. You could certainly spend a lot of money on Jorgensen clamps and things like that. Or you could go the inexpensive route. I got these from Harbor Freight again for a couple bucks a pop. And these, pistol grip clamps are really great, for just quickly clamping something down to the edge of the table, throw an edge on an axe, or, clamp a handle to the table. Something like this is going to give you a lot more clamping force, because then you can further, use the screw compression to really wrench down on whatever you're holding. So yeah, again, clamps are a great thing to have, and a lot of guys will already have a clamp and a vise and things like that. But I'm just speaking to the people here that are brand new to everything and have basically no tools and are not looking to spend a ton of money. Now, as far as handles go, when you want to fit your head and your half together, you're going to need some kind of stock removal, wood stock removal tools. And there's a million different options out there. I'm going to just go over the ones that I like the best. So you can certainly spend, again, as much money or as little money really as you want with these. And I'll just show you a few different options here. Oh, you know what? Here's one thing. Let me backtrack a little bit. When you get yourself a file, this was hiding over here with all the wood removal stuff. When you get yourself a file, you want to get yourself a file card with it. A couple dollars, but money well spent. File card cleans out the shavings from the file when it clogs up. And you really want to make sure, just like sharpening your kitchen knife or your pocket knife or anything, whenever you're using it, you're wanting to make sure that you keep it honed well. The more maintenance, you spend a couple minutes doing maintenance every time you use it, and it'll save you from trouble down the line. So you clear those files out, make sure that the shavings aren't getting caught up in your files, and they're going to continue to cut well for you. If you treat your tools right, they'll treat you right. Now, back to the stock removal for the halves. So you've got a few different options here, and these are all, I would not consider these to be overlapping tools all that much. If you had one of each of these, you'd have yourself a nice kit and there wouldn't be, much overlap. So these are spoke shaves. And again, this is another one where you could spend, you can really spend a lot of money on the Lie-Nielsen's and the Lee Valley Veritas. These are a little bit more rudimentary. I like these wooden ones. But basically a spoke shave, you can catch these at yard sales and antique malls and everything like that. And usually they're dull, so you got to knock the blades out and sharpen them, kind of tune them up a little bit. But when these things are finely tuned, they really do throw a lot of shavings and are very good tools. Another option really is effective are these farrier's rasps. And these are for you know, a farrier is a guy that puts on horseshoes, and what these are for is to knock the horse hooves down and prepare the horse hooves for reshoeing. But they work really well on wood. They're very, very aggressive pattern. I don't know if you can see that. They're very aggressive, and then on the other side it's a little bit finer, but they're excellent for woodworking. You can get yourself a Shinto rasp, and this is one of my preferred stock removal tools. Now basically the difference between a regular wood rasp, like one of these farriers, and the Shinto is the farrier rasp just has sort of, for lack of a better word, you know, little pyramids, little metal pyramids all over that just kind of bite into the wood. A Shinto rasp is a saw blade rasp. It's Japanese, and there are these little saw blades actually that cut into the wood, and it's very, very effective. You can really, really remove a lot of wood stock with one of these guys, and again, pretty cost efficient. You can usually find these for under $20 on Amazon, so easy to get and relatively cost effective. Another great tool, in my opinion, it's one of these tools that I would not be without, is a 4-in-hand. And the reason they call it a 4-in-hand is it's basically 4 tools in one. So it's a aggressive and a fine wood rasp, and one side of it is a half round like that for, you know, your curves and your concavities, and then the other side is flat. And you got an aggressive side and a more fine side on both. And this is a really versatile, just excellent tool for woodworking, taking the tongues of the axe handles down for fitting into the axe head. And let's see, where are we at? Now we're going to hang the head. And when you hang the head, you know, you're going to use these tools. You need to have something to drive the handle into the head. There are a million axe videos out there showing how to hang an axe. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. So you see a lot of these guys, they use inertia, they come down, they hit the palm swell, get the axe head, you know, get the axe head, pardon me, they get the axe handle through inertia to go into the eye of the head. And what they're using usually is some sort of mallet. So you need some kind of a mallet. And I've got a few here, a few different examples. A lot of guys like the rubber mallets. I'm not a huge fan of them. The rubber mallets, they generally, you know, they wind up chunking out. It's just rubber. And the black ones specifically, I know they make the non-marking white ones. They're a lot more difficult to find. But the black ones will leave marks all over your handle. So, you know, once you set the head, you got to go back and sand your handle of all the black rubber marks, at least the ones that I've used over the years. And now a couple of these I've made. This particular one's vintage, but I prefer, you know, just a wooden mallet, framer's mallet, whatever you call it. But just a good old wooden mallet. A lot of guys like a dead blow hammer. I don't have one of those handy. This is one that I made. This one is affectionately known as Thor's hammer here. But just made this out of pallet wood, you know. Just laminated 3 pieces of pallet wood together and used a piece of scrap locust that I had lying around. Made this one. This one's great. Get a lot of inertia. And just made this one the other night too, actually. And again, out of scrap wood. Just a scrap piece of hardwood that I drilled a hole in. And this was actually a handle from a croquet mallet set that I rasped down and I spoke shaved down. Sorry, I can't speak. And just set into the head. Just wedged. And, you know, now we've got a really nice mallet. So let's see, what else? All right, so now we've got the axe head hung properly on the axe head, and we've got to finish it. So most guys like the boiled linseed oil or the raw linseed oil. You can do tung oil, you could do Danish oil, but get yourself a big thing here of linseed oil. You don't need to go by the gallon, I wouldn't say, but these, like whatever this is, a quart, yeah, 1 quart. These quart size, these last a long time. I do a lot of axe projects, and I've had this maybe 6, 8 months now, and it's still, I don't know, up to there. So linseed oil is expensive though. That's one thing. Linseed oil, I think a quart of this was 20 bucks maybe at Walmart. So yeah, get yourself linseed oil. And the other thing to finish off that I really like is I make myself this paste wax, this wood wax that I make, and I make that just simply by combining beeswax and mineral oil. I generally speaking don't like to use boiled linseed oil in this because I also use it to refinish my butcher block countertops and my cutting boards, and also, you know, knife handles and things like that. So I want it to be food safe, and boiled linseed oil is not food safe. So just a little bit of beeswax and mineral oil. You can tweak the recipe a little bit how you want it, but you know, just a little bit of get a little handle here. Just a little bit of that. And after you've done your boiled linseed oil treatment, I like to seal my wood in with this wax, and I do 2 or 3 rounds of that. So, trying to think if I forgot anything else. If I have helped you at all with this on your axe journey, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and good luck out there, guys. Good luck out there at the flea markets, getting your next project. And to all those beginning axe guys out there, you know, getting ready to hang their first one, hopefully it goes well. And I'm sure that it will probably not be the last one you do, because it's very addicting. So I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks everybody for watching, and have a great night.